Are we live? We're live. Okay, so today's date is 1/20/21. First female vice president of the United States just got sworn in today. Whether you are Republican or Democrat, that is definitely history. Right? Okay, define slope. So for today, what we're going to talk about is slope of a linear function. And the term linear for us means straight line. So whenever you see the word linear, it just means straight, okay? So when they talk about it, if it's a linear function, it's a straight line, okay? So if it's a linear, that means the slope is going to always be the same. It's a straight line, right? So the slope will always be the same all along the line. And what we do is we use the symbol m, rise over run, okay? It's also called, and here's more of a calculus term, it's also called the change in the y's over the change in the x's, okay? You will also see it as this, okay? You'll also see delta y over delta x. Now, you're not going to see a lot of that until calculus, but the word delta means change, okay? So the whole thing about delta really means change. So when we get to calculus, when you see that symbol delta, that triangle does not mean triangle. It means delta, which means change y. So if I take a look at just a hypothetical graph, because if I need a formula, it's got to work for any point, correct? So let me put down a couple of points, okay? So a formula's got to work for all points. So to do a formula, let's create a point, x1, y1, x2, y2, okay? First point, second point. They can be anywhere on the graph. But to have a formula, we have to call our points arbitrarily x and y because they have to work for everything, okay? So if it's rise over run, then we'd have to go up from x1 to x2. And that would be the difference between x2 and xy. So here's the formula. You know it really is y2 minus y1, because that would be the spread or the height between them, right? If you subtract this height from this height, you get the difference, right? And the same thing with the x's. If you wanted to go from x1 to x2, if you wanted to find the difference between them, you'd go x2 minus x1, okay? And that's the slope formula we are going to use. And you've seen this before. In fact, hopefully you saw it all the way from Algebra 1, right? Now, the equation of a line. We're going to have two different equations of a line, okay? One is going to be what we call slope formula, okay? Slope-intercept form. And you've seen that. We like this one. This is our favorite. Y equals mx plus b. We like, that's our favorite. We're very familiar with it. We know that m is the slope, right? M represents the slope, and b is the y-intercept, right? Okay? But there's also one of my favorites, and that's the point slope formula, okay? And that is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Okay? And we will practice this in example 1, okay? Now, we've got two ways to find the equation of a line, right? What do we know about parallel lines? It's obvious. What do you guys know about parallel lines? Two lines are parallel because, not because, yes, they don't intersect, but what do you know about their slopes? They're the same, right? So we know that parallel lines have the same slope. Yeah, we knew that from geometry. What about perpendicular lines? What do we know about their slopes? They're opposites. So we got to be careful when we say opposites, but you're totally correct, Nina. They're opposites, so slopes are opposites. What does that mean? They are negative reciprocals. Okay, so, yeah, so it's M1 for the first slope. This is M perpendicular, okay? So real quickly, I'll give you an example, okay? I mean, again, the hard part about math a lot of times is you get all these symbols. What the hell do they mean, right? What does this mean? Well, A over B, negative P over A, okay? So the word reciprocal means upside down. And then it's the negative, right? So as an example, one slope happens to be 2/3. What's the perpendicular slope? What's the perpendicular slope? So if one slope is 2/3, what's the perpendicular slope, you guys?
Negative 3x.
Yeah. And if one slope is -2, what's the perpendicular slope? Positive 1. Everybody agree with that? Okay, that's all these. Okay, pretty easy. Thumbs up, right? Okay, good. Awesome. So then, let's do an example, okay? So example 1, give point A and B, find the slope and the equation of the line through these points. Okay, so we could graph it, and we can get out a piece of graph paper and do all that stuff, but let's just do it the easy way, okay? Let's see, where's my red pen? There it is. First point, x1, y1, right? Second point, x2, y2. So my slope is 5 minus 2 over 9 minus 4. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, okay? Which, of course, simplifies to 3 over 5, okay? Now, to find the equation, I've got two choices, okay? The equation of line, here it is, equation of line. I've got two choices. I could either use y equals mx plus b, which you guys are really good at. But I want to show you this other one, because I think this other one, if you get into this other one, it's easier. Looks longer, harder, but it's not. So, first of all, to have an equation, you need variables. You do. X and y, right? And the reason we have to have x and y is because a line represents, a line's long, right? A line's long. So you got to have a lot of points for a line. So the x and y variables represent all of the x and y values on the line. That's why we have to have variables, because they represent all of the possible x and y's. Okay, so I'm going to use this point. I want an equation of line. I'm going to use the point slope, because I have a slope. I'm going to have a point, okay? So I'm going to use my point slope. I'm going to go y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1, okay? And if you've never seen this formula, Have you guys seen this formula? Have you seen this one? Yes, no, if you haven't, okay. I try and use it as much as I can. I like this one. So I'm going to go, here's my variable, I'm going to go y minus 2, y1, right, equals 3/5 times x minus 4. And I'm just going to simplify it. You know, I'm going to go this times this times this. So to simplify it, I'll have a y minus 2 equals a 3/5 x minus, let's see, 12 over 5. That's 2.4. Is that right? Okay, right. 12 divided by 5. 5 goes into 2 times 2 left over 2. So how about a 2.4? I think I could use my calculator if I don't. Sure. And then finally plus 2 y equals a 3/5 x minus 0.4. How's that? You like my formula? Actually makes it pretty easy, doesn't it? I like that formula, okay? Okay, shift the page. Okay, example 2. So write this equation in slope-intercept form. So we need to have it in y equals mx plus b, because that's my slope formula. So just basically I have to solve for y, right? So let's just solve for y. Solve for y, right? This you've done before. So you'll find this first chapter in this book is a lot of review, which is okay because you have some of you guys haven't had math for a year anyway, right? So if I'm going to solve for y, minus 7x, right? 13y equals negative 7x plus 26, right? You can't add those because that's an x and that's a number. Can't add them, so it's got to be that. Divide by 13. I'll have a y equals a negative 7/13 x plus 2, okay? And just keep that as a fraction. You can make it a decimal, but that's just a much better form, okay? All right, getting there. How am I doing? Am I doing okay? Not too fast? Okay, example 3. All right, let's see what it says. It says find the value of k if the line joining 4, k and 6, 8 are parallel, okay? Find the value of k. So they've got to be parallel. So somehow, if they're parallel, then they've got to have the same slope, okay? So we're going to set up our slope formula. Okay, so we're going to go, my slope formula is going to be my 8 minus k over 6 minus 4. But that's got to equal my negative 7/13 because that's the slope of the line we're working with, right? So the slopes have to be equal. So I set the slopes equal. I get the slope between these 2 points, and I set it equal to the slope of this line, okay? Because we want to make them parallel, okay? All right, well, let's make this 8 minus k over 2 equals a negative 7/13, right? I'm going to cross multiply. This times this equals this times this. I'll have a 13 times an 8 minus k equals negative 14. Oh, what's 13 times 8? Should be able to do that. That times that, that times that. So I get a 104 minus a 13k equals negative 14, right? Minus 104, because I'm just solving for k, right? And I get a negative 118 equals a negative 13k. divide by negative 13, divide by negative 13. I might get a decimal, let's see. Yeah, about a 9. So k is approximately equal to a 9.07. But let's see, 13 times 9. Hold on a second. 13 times 9 is 117. So it goes in minus. Oh, so it would be, or it's a 9 and 1/13. So there we go. As a fraction. Just like do a little fraction, okay? Now, the same problem, except for we want to make it perpendicular, okay? So let's see. Here's my slope between these two, right? I went my 8 minus my k over my 6 minus my 4, because that's my slope. But now I need it perpendicular, so I'm going to set it equal to positive 13 sevenths. Okay? Opposite slope. So if it's perpendicular, I took my line and I changed the slope so it'd be the negative reciprocal, and I just have to solve for k again. All right, 8 minus k over 2 equals 13 sevenths. If I get going too fast, will you please tell me to slow down, okay? I don't want to do that. You guys are here to learn, not to be confused, okay? My job is not to try and confuse you. Okay, cross multiply again. Actually, I'll show you a trick. Why? I'm just going to multiply up the 2. Leave the 7. Does that make sense? Leave the 7. All right, leave the 7. Where's that? Why multiply by 7 if you're just going to have to divide by 7 later, okay? I could have done the same thing up here, but one thing at a time. So 8 minus k equals 26 over 7, right? Let's see. 21, what is that? 21 and 3 and 5 sevenths, right? Same as 3 and 5 sevenths. 21, yep. 8 minus k minus 8 minus 8. What is that? A negative 5 and 2 sevenths. Hold on just a second. Make sure I did my math right. Plus 4. I knew it. I knew it. I had to borrow. Minus 8 minus 8. Okay, so then I get a negative k equals that. Divide by a negative, and k has to be the value of 4 and 2 sevenths. There we go. Okay, let me stop my recording instead of going on and on and on, okay? And we'll stop there.